We have online with us Gary Griffith, former Commissioner of Police of Trinidad and Tobago. Good morning to you, sir.
Hi, good morning. Gary, I'm waiting on the 7:05 meeting interview this morning at
Well, I,
7:40.
I know you're always energized and ready, and we are thankful very much for the opportunity to have you on with us this morning. We're diving straight into it. The conversations have been happening. We have seen the documentation between the Prime Minister communicating with the opposition, and we have seen the communications happening regarding the crime talks as it is being described. You have recently taken a decision to bow out. Knowing your background, your knowledge, your experience, etc., we want to start there. What would have motivated this determination to bow out of crime talks, where it is, you had an excellent opportunity to make a contribution at that level?
Yeah, sure. Good morning. Well, the whole concept of the anti-crime talks involving politicians started with myself in February. I was the first person who came forward and offered to assist the government because of their inability and, if not incompetence, in dealing with the crime problem. So I started the ball in February this year. So if I was the person that was seen as starting it, I certainly didn't want to be seen as the person who caused it to end. Because what the Prime Minister has done is try to use me as a scapegoat, as an avenue, by shifting the goalposts and trying to blame me and use me as the opportunity for him to say we're not getting involved because of Gary Griffith. I think it is very unfortunate. It shows pettiness, it shows immaturity, it shows him having an inferiority complex or even being intimidated by Gary Griffith. You're a Prime Minister and you're uncomfortable to be talking to someone. It says a lot about you as a Prime Minister. It shows that you're a Prime Minister for anybody with a PNM party card as well, and which is unfortunate. That being the case, if it is that was being done, the opposition leader and myself, we had discussions and we said, listen, let's not give him that opportunity of a cop-out. I will step down and let us see what will happen now, because now he cannot use me as an excuse because he kept shifting the goalposts. It is unfortunate. I mean, throughout this whole crime talk, it has been politically aligned by the PNM to try to get political brownie points, and it has backfired. It started when it is Kamala Prasad and myself, as I said, we offered. Keith Rowley went in a political meeting in Tobago and said, not them too. I'm not interested with those. And that says a lot about him. Then after when it is the opposition leader wrote to him, he didn't have to have the common courtesy and basic protocol to respond. 3, he then went and had the Attorney General write to the opposition leader on his behalf, which is totally out of place. 4, the Attorney General has the audacity to give a deadline to the opposition leader. 5, they then go and they give an agenda. You set an agenda only with legislation. This should not be a subcommittee of parliament. This is a matter of legislation is a very small part to deal with reducing crime. It was the same legislation when I was there, and there was the highest reduction in violent crime in 17 years. And then 6, you have the audacity to then state, we will have 5 people and you will have 4. So you already want to have numerical superiority. And then you start telling the opposition who they must have in the meeting. So anyone who really cares about this country, anyone who really cares about reducing crime, anyone who really cares about democracy would have seen that the PNM is nothing more than a dictatorial party full of themselves. They did not want to deal with this situation. I have decided, listen, I am not going to give the government the opportunity. And if it is that Keith Rowley still continues to refuse, it will show that I was just being used as an excuse. He never wanted it in the first place. If he decides to attend, it will show how petty and small-minded he is, that he wanted to shut down crime talks to secure you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago, because of his personal agenda against Gary Griffith, which sums up what Patrick Manning said about him 15 years ago. When it is he cannot have his way, you see someone full of hate, full of rage, totally out of control. And that is certainly not somebody that we need as a Prime Minister.
Has indicated that he doesn't necessarily need, to be a part of these initial talks. Are you saying that it totally sends the wrong signal if he's absent from the talks, or is it that when we make the connection beyond just Gary Griffith in this circumstance? I know that was one of his more recent responses in relation to advancing the issue of crime fighting and working together. What's your take?
Well, Keith Rowley is the only Prime Minister in the history of Trinidad and Tobago that boasts about him being the chair of the National Security Council more than him saying he's the Prime Minister. And I will trigger the minds of the country as the chair of the National Security Council, as the chair of the National Security Council. That's all he does when he bubbles his head and boasts about being the chair of the National Security Council. So for 8 years, you keep boasting that you're the chair of the National Security Council, as if you feel like you're some type of Idi Amin and you're in charge of security of the country, which basically you're responsible. So you keep saying that. And now, more than ever, is the time for you to be able to show your worth as the chair of the National Security Council. And you refuse? This is not a time to delegate. This is a time to show leadership by example. You can't be the chair of the National Security Council and then you're not even attending a National Security Council meeting with the opposition. It shows, again, immaturity. It shows laziness. He probably knows that he'll be playing golf. He plays golf 3-4 days a week on the Mocha golf course with 40 special branch officers guarding him, which is more than all of the police officers that secure the Western Division at any given time. So I think it shows the character of the individual: laziness, ignorance in understanding your responsibility, and shirking your responsibility and not understanding leadership by example. You can't be the chair of the National Security Council, yet something of this magnitude, you're saying, well, I could delegate for these guys to attend. And the people he has delegated, as I said earlier in another interview, that those individuals, those ministers, they are as powerful and lethal and dependable as the batting lineup of the West Indies cricket team that took part in the ODI's World Cup qualifiers. So, I mean, to bring those individuals, that and nothing is the same thing. They are totally clueless. They do not know what to do. You have a Minister of National Security who doesn't know his role and function. You bring in a Minister of Energy in Stuart Young, who has a larger security detail 5 times more than the leader of the opposition. It is total madness that is going on. So for all the diehard PNM, I really want you to absorb what is happening right now. This is a Prime Minister who boasted that if he could get 10 Gary Griffiths, he could he could fix this country. This is a Prime Minister who told his Attorney General, change the law because I can't afford to lose Gary Griffith because I never decided to reapply and renew my contract as Commissioner of Police. This was a Prime Minister that used me as the poster boy in the PNM manifesto in 2020 to say, we have been totally incompetent, but we gave you all Gary Griffiths to vote us back in. And this is the same person who's now trying to see me as a spectacular failure, even though it was the highest reduction in violent crime in 17 years, even though public trust and confidence in the police service went up to 59%, and after I left, it went down to 8%, even though 89% of the country, they were in support of me or had no issue with me returning. And my assessments were excellent by interviews and everything and to add the application. So there was nothing that he could have used to state that I do not want to work with Gary Griffith. I don't need friendship with Keith Rowley. What I was doing was trying to offer my services because of the incompetence of those persons around him who do not know what to do. So you would have seen what has taken place. I think that the Prime Minister should attend. If he does not attend, it is going to be a cop-out. It will show immaturity, it will show pettiness, it will show laziness, and it will show a Prime Minister who does not understand his role and responsibility and a very important aspect of leadership, which is leadership by example.
And I hear what you're saying, and we listen and we hear the Prime Minister and we hear the opposition. And for many just sitting out there, the feeling is naturally that ultimately, from the layman's perspective, it appears just very much to be a bit of playing politics in this circumstance. When we get down to some of the very real issues in terms of dealing with challenges, even we see within the very own police force, we have seen issues and challenges in relation to officers, etc. The issue with regards to in terms of illegal drugs, guns, and so on. Ultimately, is there any hope at all that we will get to that point of being able to deal with these things in a very real way, beyond what appears to be, as some would describe, a kind of very childish or political squabble, and then we may never get anywhere in terms of coming together?
Oh, well put. You summed it up. Yes, I give the country the assurance that can change, but it will change when the government changes, because that is all this government has done. They have utilized national security as a tool to try to target and political opponents. That is the reason why Keith Rowley, let me take that back. This is the reason why the government has a problem with Gary Griffith, because I was not moving, not because of my performance, not because of crime reduction, but as I said, public trust and confidence, crime reduction, crime being down as the number 4 issue. It had nothing to do with performance, crime reduction, how the public thinks. It had to do with we needed a commissioner of police who must target political opponents and have them arrested. Only in a banana republic, only in a dictatorial country would a government give a commissioner of police $42 million and direct him that these funds should be used to hire attorneys and then make them SRPs so that they can investigate and arrest political opponents of the government. What madness is this going on in the country? Any other country, there would be a snap election after something like this. We sit down, we accept it, and we move forward. And so unless it is that the government changes, this is not going to happen, as you said, because the government has spent more time speaking about legal firearms. Legal firearms. We have over 520 murders this year. 458 have been by firearms. 457 of the 458 have been caused by illegal firearms. Yet we have not heard one comment by Keith Rowley or Fitzgerald Hines as what they intend to do to stop the problem of illegal firearms entering the country, or how do we seize the illegal firearms already in the country. All they speak about is legal firearms, which again was a typical PNM propaganda campaign. If you say the same lie over and over, people believe you. They use a Stanley Joki John report littered with lies. It is rumored, it is perceived, and we have heard. They then it is only in a banana republic that politicians will hire civilians, make them investigators, pay them hundreds of thousands of taxpayers' money, probably tell them to put what you want in the report, and then read it out and expect people to believe it. That is what he tried to do with the audit, and the court stopped him because we said they could not speak about it in Parliament. He wanted to go to Parliament because Parliament is the one place you can lie, smear the character of others, and not be sued, which is what he did with Emailgate. That is why he cannot speak about all of these lies in the Stanley John report and the audit report, because that is what he wanted to do. So he tried the red herring, it backfired, and that has always been the campaign of the PNM. If the PNM spends more time or as much time trying to deal with the problems that the country has, instead of using all their time to try to character assassinate, arrest, bad talk, destroy the reputation of their political opponents, this could be a better country. But that's all they do. Every time they speak, it's to attack, it's to destroy, it's to discredit, it's to character assassinate. And that is the typical PNM way. That is the Rowley PNM way, I should say. And the country is fed up of it. So they are not putting any emphasis on crime and dealing with it, because all they think about is that this might help the opposition. This might not make us look good. We want to spend more time trying to arrest the opposition members. That is the reason why the country can't go forward, which is why I offered my service to say, look, we cannot wait until the government changes in 2025 or before. We have to do it now, because by the time that happens, there may not be a country for us to try to serve anymore.